All right, perfect. Rick Ucchino, Sports Illustrated. Nice to see and chat with you again, Sammy. Um, Obviously a big matchup this weekend at Elimination Chamber. Once again, you're going up with Kevin Owens. I've always felt like there's been this Batman Joker dynamic to you guys, where you guys are like destined to do this forever. But with the tone of this time around, it kind of feels different. Does it feel like maybe this might be the final time? And if it's not, like, how do you go forward from that with how the story has developed so far?
So I don't know if this is the final time. I've said that before over the years, and many times I've been wrong. Clearly, so I've kind of stopped trying to slap that label on anything. I don't know when the last time will be. I don't think this is the last time. I think hopefully we both have a few years ahead of us, and the history of Kevin and myself for the past 20 years has sort of been this out and in and out and in, and it's sort of we go off in different directions, and eventually we find our way back to each other, either as friends or foes. In this particular story, it does feel very different from any other story we've done because the groundwork has already sort of been laid for 20 years. And now it still has a very specific story this time around, with my allegiances versus what he has as his character or, his mindset with regards to sense of obligation and what he expects out of a friendship or whatever it is. So the dynamic with Cody, Roman, these sort of elements make this particular chapter a unique chapter. But it's because the history is there. It's not like we had to start from the ground up. It's like right into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think we're here for a good time, not a long time, is my guess.
appreciate it.
Our next question comes from Sean Ross Sapp. Sean?
Hey, Sammy, thanks for doing this. Yourself and Kevin have had a lot of parallels personally, professionally throughout the years. I remember a few years ago, both of you had your contracts coming up. Kevin revealed that he had signed a new one. Are you in that same boat, or did you still have like some time left on your deal? Because naturally, when one is coming up, the world just keeps asking, "Oh, is the other one's up as well?"
Yeah, I'm usually kind of private about that stuff, to be honest with you. But I don't think I'm going anywhere.
Okay.
I think I've got kind of a good thing going here, and I see it continuing for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I
Thank
try
you
not
so
to.
much.
Yeah, sorry, I try not to get
No,
too
no, no.
too into conversations about that stuff if possible.
No, that's fine. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
but that's what you guys are there for. So I get that. Do you have another question? I feel like I kind of give you a curt answer there, but if you got something else, I'm happy to answer it.
Sorry, they had to unmute me. No, no, I appreciate that answer. I mean that is pretty clear within the context of what I'm asking, even if it's not like a specific date or anything. I appreciate that answer.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
very much. I appreciate it.
no problem.
Our next question comes from Jan Murphy. Jan?
Hey Sammy, how are you?
Not too bad.
Good. Coming into Toronto, it's a there's a weird dynamic happening right now between Canada and the US with all this tariff stuff. What are you expecting from the WWE crowd, especially the whole Canada US thing this weekend?
Um, I don't think truly that that'll factor in to anything with regards to this with the elimination chamber. I don't. Um, I think WWE. So this could be a very short answer or a very long answer, and I'll try to kind of split the difference here. But I like to talk about wrestling at length, and I like to talk about wrestling as sort of a reflective art form in the world with regards to history and sociology and how it kind of mirrors societies at the times. So, having said that, wrestling's always had sort of a political representation of the zeitgeist of the time, right? So, in the '90s during the Persian Gulf War, obviously we had Sergeant Slaughter with the Iraq stuff, and even prior to that, World War, in the '50s we had Nazi villains and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Japanese, whoever the villains were in the political climate were reflected in the world of pro wrestling. Now, I think in a strange way, we're doing a sort of weird anti-reflection wherein we just simply don't touch politics. You know, as a company, like nothing about the political climate is reflected in the product anymore. And I think in some ways that's also a reflection of the society we currently live in and the sensitivity to these things. But I also think it's because I think WWE is meant to be like an escape from all that stuff, especially the more real and the more it's felt on a day-to-day basis for some people. And it's not like an abstract idea when you get into the conversation of tariffs. You know, people are feeling that at the grocery store or, you know, whatever, gas station. They're feeling it day-to-day life, or they will. The potential to feel it is certainly there. So I think you want to go somewhere where you just kind of forget about that stuff altogether. And I think that's what WWE provides now, you know, where politics has become so into the mainstream and it's almost turned into an entertainment form in its own right, which I have a lot to say about, but I won't get into that. All this to say, WWE, I think, is a place to kind of take that hat off and just enjoy it for what it is. And I think everybody who purchased their tickets to Elimination Chamber is there for a great show. They're not there to think about this stuff. They're not there to boo Americans or cheer Canadians or whatever. I think they're there for the show, and we're going to give them a great show. That's what I think.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Nav at CBC.
Hey, Sammy, how's it going? Just a question more so as a Canadian talent. What does it mean to you personally to be able to perform at the Rogers Centre this weekend, considering its history, hosting 2 WrestleManias, Monday Night Raw, probably the biggest venue that we have in the country when it comes to pro wrestling? What is that going to feel like for you?
You know, every single time I thought that we hit some sort of marker, especially in the story between Kevin and myself, there's some sort of crazy new thing on the horizon. And for us, I think this is it. You know, like just getting to WWE to begin with, both signing with WWE seemed insane. And then, you know, wrestling for the NXT title was insane. And then wrestling each other on Raw and on pay-per-view or PLEs or WrestleMania, like it just, each step seemed more insane than the next. And you would think after especially main eventing WrestleMania as a tag team, winning the tag team titles and this really, you know, historic sort of match with all these great circumstances that surrounded it, you'd think, well, that's it. There's no topping this. But in a strange way, this kind of does, because it is, I mean, to me, it's still the Sky Dome, you know, and what a big deal that was. WrestleMania, you know, X8. And I remember the first Monday Night Raw from the Sky Dome in '99, and what a huge deal it was. And now for us to be, you know, we used to drive to Toronto for maybe $50, $100 to do these shows, and now we're going to Toronto to, you know, a packed Sky Dome like at Rogers Centre. I don't know. It's one of those perpetual sort of can you believe it moments, and I think it's a really, really big deal. At least it is for me. Can't really speak for him, but I'm sure it's a big deal for him too. And I think the fact that we're like not just on the show, but we're a very important part of the show, and we've got this story, and I think a lot of people are very interested in it. And that in itself is shocking to me, that we've been doing this story, different versions of this story for 20 years, and people are still seeing this match advertised going, oh man, I got to see this match. To me, that's just the coolest thing. I can't tell you how excited I am. This is a big deal. For me, this is a borderline WrestleMania kind of feel for me, for sure.
Great. Our next question comes from Steve Fall. Steve?
What's going on, Sam? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Awesome. Now, a couple years ago, I was there for Elimination Chamber. You versus Roman. The place was shaking. The building was shaking. How's that compared to heading into this weekend against Kevin Owens? Which one on, I guess, the charts do you think is going to be more impactful for your career in general?
I try not to really look at things in those terms. I think I'm very lucky and very privileged to be in a position that I'm in currently, or the position I was in heading, you know, a couple of years ago, heading into that match with Roman Reigns. I think those are both if you're able to do one of those things in your entire career, you've had a great career. So the fact that I'm able to do that a couple of years ago, and now a couple of years later, now find myself going into this match at Elimination Chamber with Kevin, a match we've performed so many times in different iterations and different versions of this story that we've told so many times, for it to now be on display in what is essentially almost like a Canadian WrestleMania, in a stadium, in a Skydome, the Rogers Center, legendary stadium in Canada. I don't know, man. It's huge. It's huge. I try not to compare in terms of like magnitude of like, this is number one, this is number two. I tend not to really look at my career in those terms. As I said, they're both amazing. They're both amazing for different reasons. But I would still put it on that level as far as like career achievements. It's up there. So I'm very, very excited for it. I don't know. It's hard to really put into words the feeling going into this one, because I know it's not WrestleMania, but it really does feel like WrestleMania.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Our next question comes from Jimmy Corderas. Jimmy?
Sami, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you again, bud.
I have a question for you, because you mentioned earlier about the 20-year plus history between you and Kevin, and you've been friends, you've been rivals, you've gone through all this incredible history together. But going into this, how challenging do you find it creatively to keep things fresh for the audience, especially in an era where, I hate to say it this way, in 2025, where their attention span is not quite what it once was?
It's been a challenge perpetually. I'd say from, we felt the pressure very, very early on. I'm talking even in like 2003, 2004. So I remember this moment pretty vividly. I remember this being one of the funny moments that I look back on my career. The very first time we wrestled in America, September 11th, 2004, we wrestled in Philadelphia, the ECW arena. And I remember it was a four-way match, myself, Kevin, a gentleman named Access, and a guy named Sexy Eddie. Sexy Eddie was the star of the match going into this, because he had done this crazy match in front of the CZW fans a month or two prior. So this was his big return with the other Canadian guys that were unknown to this audience at the time. Or maybe they'd heard our names, but they didn't really know our body of work. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I remember when we were constructing the match and there was this panic and, time crunch and all this kind of stuff, just like as there is all these years later, and nitpicking to make the details perfect and all this stuff that we're still guilty of all these years later. I remember having no choice because it was time to go out. And I remember just saying out loud, but we're not doing anything new. But I didn't really realize at the time they'd never seen any of the stuff that we were doing. So I already felt this pressure, like, we need to change everything. Not realizing that the only people who had seen it all were me and him, and nobody was seeing the stuff we were doing in little Montreal community centers or elementary schools or wherever we were wrestling. So this was new to that audience. And the reason I bring this up is just, again, to tell you how early on I felt the pressure to kind of reinvent things and change things and keep them a little different, even at the smallest level imaginable. So that pressure was felt that early on. And we've been fortunate enough in our careers to get a little bit of distance to where anytime it comes back, it feels special or renewed. And I think that's really been the key to it, is a way to always renew it. And look, you're always going to get a handful of people who go like, well, I've already seen this match. Well, you've already seen a movie. But, this iteration with this story is going to change the variables, and it changes the story and it changes the action. So all this to say, yeah, I feel a lot of pressure personally and professionally to make it feel new and fresh and exciting. But the fact that this match got announced and everybody got excited, and now I think there's a lot of anticipation to see this match at the Skydome at one of the biggest PLEs of the year, I just think it's a testament to the, that's us reaping the rewards of that. What's the word I'm looking for here? That investment and that diligence in trying to maintain its freshness. We're seeing that it still works, and I'm very, very happy and very, very proud of that.
So looking forward to it. Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next question comes from Rob Wong. Rob?
Hey, Sammy, thanks for doing this today.
Yeah, no problem.
A couple of questions for you. First off, we're about a month and a half into the Netflix era now. A lot has been made about the changes that people are seeing. From your perspective, how would you compare it to the way it was before when it was broadcast on network television? And second question, going to play up the stereotype here. Did you watch the Four Nations final between Canada and the U.S.?
Yeah, okay. So I'll answer your first question. With the Netflix premiere, obviously felt like a really big deal, and that's us welcome. That's us putting on our best face and say, hey, this is a new audience. This is who we are. This is what we do. And that was really cool. But then, it's still business as usual every other week for the next 10 years. So I don't feel a huge difference. There's maybe a little tiny bit, and I mean, it's not as much as you would think, because obviously there's more, rules and regulations and constricts with broadcast television, or even cable television. But, with regards to the length of time of segments and commercial breaks and all that sort of thing. And you would think with Netflix that there's a lot more flexibility with that. There's not a ton of it. So it doesn't feel terribly different. I mean, maybe there's a tiny bit more, less pressure, or maybe if you go 30 seconds heavy, you don't feel as bad about it. But generally, it's about the exact same experience for me as a performer. And to answer your second question there, yeah, I absolutely watched the Four Nations final. I thought it was a great game. I thought it was much like Sidney Crosby scoring that golden goal all those years ago. It's so fitting that Connor McDavid buries it in overtime. Yeah, I don't know. There's always animosity, those Canada-US games, especially after how the previous game started with that brawl. Yeah, it was a very, very satisfying win, and it was a great game. I really enjoyed watching it. Respect all those boys, and congratulations to that team.
Great. And our last question comes from Johnny at the Johnny I Pro Show. Johnny?
Hello, Sammy. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I want to tell me now the emotions going into this match just at the Rogers Center, formerly known as Skydome, and the history you have between Kevin from WrestleMania, starting the business together. Just so much behind it. It's giving me WrestleMania feels, as they say. Tell me the emotions, your mind state going into this.
Actually, you kind of hit it on the head. It is a very WrestleMania feel for me in terms of the mindset approaching this match, and just, I don't know, the vibe. It kind of feels like a Canadian WrestleMania, really. WrestleMania is hard to come by. There's a million cities now. It's become such an event that cities are actually vying for it. I have no doubt it'll end up coming to Toronto within the next 5-10 years. Toronto is a great market. But this kind of feels like WrestleMania. It really does. And especially with this match with Kevin, I touched upon this answering some of the other questions, but it's just our history and the history of shows at that stadium in particular, like WrestleMania X8, those first episodes of Monday Night Raw from the Skydome were such a big deal to any Canadian watching on TSN at that time in '99. I just remember that so vividly. And actually, here's a fun fact. March 1st is my wrestling anniversary, so it'll be 23 years to the day for my first match. So it kind of makes me even more reflective, because I'm like, wow, who would have thought? I never would have thought 23 years ago, having my first match, hey, in 23 years, it'll be you and that guy in the Skydome, as one of the big premier matches. And a match that personally I think will probably end up stealing the show. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. It really, it's a combination of excitement and that WrestleMania feeling, but also a lot of personal reflection. Yeah, it's an emotional one. So I plan on making it a really, really good one. I think, we have a tendency to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to outdo ourselves, and we've had some pretty great matches in our history, and some crazy matches, and I think this one's going to have to live up to a lot of that. So I think we're going to try to outdo ourselves. And, if history's any indication, I think we'll succeed.
Excited to watch. Thank you so much, and good luck Saturday.
Thank you, buddy.
You've been wrestling on TV since pretty much you were 18 years old, like your whole adult life. Was there a specific period in which you just felt comfortable wrestling on TV despite the situation? Because I know that ROH to TNA to WWE, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown can all vary very heavily.
Yeah. Honestly, I think my very first match in the WWE, I wrestled JC Jane, and we got time cut during that match. It was my debut for NXT, and I felt like they put me in a position. I remember Shawn Michaels telling me, "All right, we're throwing you in the deep end. You can either sink or swim." And I think I swam. I swam pretty well. So, yeah, ever since then, I think that I realized, okay, yeah, I feel comfortable, and I can't wait to do this for the rest of my life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Robert Jackman. Robert?
Hi, Roxanne. Good to see you again. There's a lot going on in this match, obviously, but I think one of the dynamics is I think Liv Morgan would have really liked to have her partner in this match, given what's going on, and you stopped that happening. Does that worry you at all? Whether she might kind of look to get revenge on you in Toronto?
No, I'm not worried about that at all, honestly. I mean, it sucks that I kind of one-upped her best friend, her partner, but I mean, she should be able to do it alone. I'm gonna do it alone. Bailey's gonna do it alone. Alexa Bliss is gonna do it alone. We're all gonna do it alone. So I guess she's just gotta deal with the consequences of what she did.
Great, thank you.
And our next question comes from Spencer Love. Spencer?
Hey, Roxanne. Good morning. Happy Monday. I wanted to get your thoughts on the WWE ID program, especially as somebody who trained under Booker T, trained at Reality of Wrestling. Maybe what do you think are some of the benefits, and what are your thoughts for it going forward?
Oh, I think it's so awesome. It's really, really awesome to see all these athletes come in, these D1 athletes that have been very successful in whatever sport they've worked their whole lives in. But I also think that it's really awesome to see all these independent wrestling talent that have, put in the work for their specific sport. I think it's so cool to see all these women. I know Zeta Steele is a part of that program. Kylie Ray. Those are two girls that I think are so talented, so awesome. So it's really cool to see all these independent wrestlers get the opportunities now. I think it's going to be great for the performance center.
Awesome. Thank you. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Jimmy Corderas. Jimmy?
I have to unmute my mic. Sorry. Hello, Roxanne. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I have a quick question for you. What do you see as the biggest difference so far between working on NXT and moving up to the main roster after such a successful run as a villain? In your recent match against Raquel Rodriguez, you were more of a babyface, for lack of a better term, against a larger opponent. Was there a big adjustment you had to make in that sort of match in that style?
No, not really. I think Shawn Michaels does an absolutely great job at preparing us for the main roster. So, everything that I've done well on NXT, I'm bringing it up with me to the main roster. And I definitely still got that edge. Obviously, we had that big size difference, so I kind of got to work a little bit different to work my way up to get her down. But I still got my same attitude. I think I slapped the taste out of her mouth a couple times, which I thought was kind of funny, and I ended up with the win. So yeah, I think everything that I've learned at NXT is gonna do me well in the main roster.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Denise. Denise?
Roxanne, I do have one more question for you, and that is, I wanted to get your thoughts, and of course, being the final two with Charlotte Flair in the Royal Rumble. Kind of talk to us about like your reaction when you found out you would be in the Royal Rumble again. You've been in it multiple times, but also, making it all the way to the end, and what those last couple minutes in the match felt like, and also how you came out feeling from it, because that was such a big spot to be in. Thank you.
Yeah. So I found out that I was gonna be in the Rumble probably the Wednesday before. So I didn't really expect it. I thought, oh, maybe not this year, which is okay. I still got years and years to go. But they called me, and when I found out that I was gonna be the final two, I was just shocked. I thought it was oh my God, the biggest opportunity that I've ever gotten so far. And I remember the last six, it was me, Nikki Bella, Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, Bailey. And I was like, wow, I belong here. This is what I've been working for, to be in the ring with all of these women. And I had a flashback when I was on the floor after Charlotte eliminated me. And the first ever Royal Rumble that I went to I was an extra, and Charlotte Flair won that match. And I was sitting in the very top of the suites watching her win. And then this year I was unfortunately was sitting on the floor watching her win, but it was just a really full circle moment. And yeah, I just feel like everything is just happening exactly the way it's supposed to be happening.
Awesome. Congratulations, Roxanne.
Thank you.
Hi, Bianca. Nice to chat with you again. Appreciate you giving us some time here. The last time we spoke was with you and Jade together, and you had talked about wanting to really focus in and hone in on establishing the women's tag team championships. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. You're now tagging with Naomi with everything that has happened with Jade, but you also have this opportunity this weekend to win your second Elimination Chamber match, get yet another singles match for a world title at WrestleMania, which I believe would be your fourth, and you would finally get that big match with Rhea Ripley. How, there's so many different things that you want to do at one time. How do you balance everything where you have these goals for the tag team titles, but you also have these singles goals as well?
I feel like that's kind of just the story of my career. Like, I feel like I've been able to accomplish a whole lot in a short amount of time, and ever since I've hit the scene, I've been running, and I haven't stopped ever since. So I'm kind of used to having a lot going on, and I'm someone who likes to achieve as much as I possibly can. So while I am the tag team champion right now, and I would love to go to WrestleMania and defend those tag team titles, I would equally just as much love to win Elimination Chamber and go against Rhea Ripley. And that's always been a dream match of mine. And I feel like it's a dream match for fans as well. But to be able to go and possibly, have another title opportunity and remain undefeated at WrestleMania and be someone that can take down Rhea Ripley, who wouldn't want to do that? I feel like we both have kind of been on opposite sides of the mountain, racing our way to the top. And right now, she has that title. So the perception is that she's the best. My reality is that I'm the best. So I want to go to WrestleMania and I want to prove that. So I'm going to do everything that I can in this Elimination Chamber to make sure that I can, point to that WrestleMania sign, solidify my path to WrestleMania and go and face Rhea Ripley. And at the same time, hopefully get to go and defend our tag team titles alongside Naomi.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Denise Salcedo. Denise?
I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Bianca, I wanted to start off by saying, obviously you mentioned that dream match with you and Rhea Ripley is definitely something that we want. You're undefeated at WrestleMania. And of course, like Rick mentioned, you have been doing all of this stuff, the tag team division. For you, how have you felt sort of going from, doing everything that you possibly could do, because you've had so many accolades underneath your belt when it comes to the singles division, going into the tag team? Do you kind of miss the singles division and the spotlight, primarily being on you? Or how are you trying to find like that balance between like being the old Bianca and then also this new Bianca? I know it's a big question.
No, it's completely fine. It's a great question because I honestly feel like I said before, I was able to accomplish so much in a short amount of time being in the singles picture. Like when I look back on my career on being on the main roster, I actually feel like I've been a champion more than I have not been a champion on the main roster, right? So I felt like when I had the opportunity of being a part of a tag team, I felt like I was in a space where I was ready for that. I was ready for it to do something where it wasn't just about me, like me being as successful as I was in the title pictures, because there were so many women that helped me along the way. So I saw this as an opportunity to do the same thing. Like I want to give back now, and I feel like I have accomplished so much that I have enough equity to where I can help elevate this tag team division and give more spots and more spotlight to the women on this roster, because we have so many talented women. And being a tag team is a very selfless thing. You have to be ready to share that spotlight, not just with your tag team partner, but with the two other women that are across the ring from you. And I felt like I was in a space where I was ready for that. And I wanted to, grow more as a superstar, as a wrestler. And I felt like I was able to do that with this tag team. I've grown, I've learned so much, and I've evolved. And it was a different role where I feel like now I'm not so much as the rookie. I'm a little bit of a veteran in this situation, but it was new for me. It was a challenge, and it was new, and I was up for it. But definitely, I definitely miss being in the singles picture as well, because you get to go and have these big opportunities, like possibly winning the Elimination Chamber match and going up against Rhea Ripley. But being a tag team, it's a lot less pressure, it's a lot more fun. But I'm definitely having that itch of getting back in that singles picture.
Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Jan Murphy. Jan?
Hey, Bianca, with so few spots available on a show like this, what does it mean to you to be able to have one of those spots? I mean, coming back to Toronto at a place where they haven't been in over 20 years, what does that mean to you this weekend?
It means everything. Like I said, our roster is so stacked right now. I think we just saw that with the Royal Rumble. It was 30 women in that match, and it's women from the past, the present, the future. And I feel like every single woman that was in that match could go and have a WrestleMania match, could be a part of Elimination Chamber. That speaks volumes to how amazing our roster is. So to be one of the women that has the spot at Elimination Chamber, it means everything, because it could be any one of us, and we're all fighting and clawing our way to get to WrestleMania. And when you've worked all year long, you want to have that spot at WrestleMania, and we've all been working our butts off all year long. So it's something that I don't take for granted. It's something that I know is very special to be a part of, and to be able to have that spot, because next year it could be very much me that, I didn't make it this time. So every single time I get to be a part of a big moment, or be a part of a big opportunity, I'm gonna do everything that I can to relish in that moment. So it's special. It's super special, because we just have so many talented women. So it's very special.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Robert Jackman. Robert?
Excellent. Bianca, you've been in the chamber twice. This will be your third match. I mean, in your opinion, does experience count for much in Elimination Chamber, or is it just total war when you get in there?
I would say the Elimination Chamber match is probably one of the most intimidating matches that I've been a part of. I would like to say that it gives me an advantage that I've won before, but in all honesty, not really, because every year the circumstances change. It's different people in the match. It's a different lineup. You don't know if you're starting. You don't know when you're coming out of that pod. All the factors play a part, right? If you're starting the match, it's different from if you're coming out last in the pod. The chamber that I won, I came out last, so it's gonna be very different if I start this chamber. It's very different from depending on who's in the match. I just rewatched the chamber match from last year, and I was saying it's crazy how much a year makes a difference, because the people in that match I was friends with, Liv Morgan, we were on great terms in that match. Raquel, now this year's completely different. They're my enemies this year. So it's the chamber is just, it's interesting. And it's also interesting too, because if you don't win the Royal Rumble, you don't solidify your way to WrestleMania. Now, the Elimination Chamber is like that last opportunity to get that title shot at WrestleMania. So everybody is just, you literally become a different version of yourself in that match. All the rules go out the window. For me this year, I'm in there with my enemies. I'm also in there with my tag team partner. So all of this plays a role. It's kind of where all the rules just go out the window. So, I'm also in there with Alexa Bliss, so she's also won the chamber before. So I would like to say that it does play an advantage, but at the same time, it doesn't.
We'll see how it works out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Rob Wong. Rob?
Hey, Bianca, thanks for doing this today.
Hi, thank you.
So we just talked to Roxanne Perez before you came on here, and she's going into her first chamber match, and that was you at one point. What do you remember about the days and the weeks sort of leading up to that first one, and what would the current Bianca maybe you want to tell that younger Bianca before that first one?
Ooh, what do I remember about the first one? I more so remember my emotions and my feelings, because going into that first chamber that I was a part of, I was coming off of main eventing WrestleMania and being champion, and Becky Lynch coming in and taking that title off of me in 26 seconds. And I wasn't successful at the Royal Rumble, so I saw the Elimination Chamber as my last opportunity to get to Becky Lynch and get my title back. So I went into that match with very emotional. And I remember just being super emotional about it, but being super nervous about it because, like I said, the Elimination Chamber match is very intimidating. If I would have to give any advice to like someone of their first year, oof. Like I said, all the rules just go out the window. And if I would have to give any advice to from my younger version of myself to now, it's that it's every woman for themselves. And you have to use everything that you have. If you use the pod, if you use the chamber, you use everything that you possibly have to walk out so you can point to that WrestleMania sign, because that's what everybody else is going to be doing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Sean Ross Sapp. Sean? Sean, if you can just unmute yourself, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Hopefully you all can hear me now.
Good.
About a year ago, we heard you talk about like the way that you would want to be a heel if possible. We had heard like some ideas that had been thrown your way. And I believe it was Lashley said, she's an inspiration to a lot of people. It's got to be something very substantial or important for her to do something like that. And we've seen like your entrances that integrate a lot of that, your inspiration to many children. How are you feeling present day about the possibilities of playing that role?
I feel like I never say never, but what I will say that it would have to be something that's very, like you said, substantial and a bigger picture to it. Just because I feel like being a baby face and a successful baby face and a baby face that's consistently able to keep their name in the top of the conversation, that's very hard to get. And once you get it, you really don't want to let go of that. And I feel like the longer you can hold on to that, if that heel turn happens, the bigger that heel turn will be. What I will say is that if that does happen, it's I want to be the heel that people would not like, and I don't know if everybody's. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if everybody else is ready for that. It's one thing when I hear fans say, "I love so and so as a heel." When I hear love and heel in the same sentence, that doesn't work for me. And I feel like it's like someone like Nia Jax, how valuable she is to this division. Playing that role, we need that. And so we'll just see what happens. We'll see where it goes. But right now, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if the fans are ready for that. But when it happens, I feel like it's going to be something big if it ever happens. Who knows?
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Steve Paul. Steve?
All right, there we go. Thank you so much for doing this today. Huge moment coming up this weekend, Elimination Chamber, but also thoughts this past Royal Rumble and last year. You had a moment with Jordynne Grace in the ring. She recently signed with the WWE. What are your thoughts on her joining the WWE? Because it's a huge addition to the roster.
I think Jordynne is a great addition to the roster. Like I said, I feel like we have the best women's roster in the world. So to have her a part of it, that's just going to add even more value to it. We saw where she came into the Royal Rumble last year and she, made a wave there and had the internet rocking. She came this year, she showed out even more, and now she's officially signed with the WWE. So it's great. I think she's great in the ring. She has the presence. She has the aura about her. She has her body's freaking amazing. She's picking up Piper with ease in the ring, so she's going to be a force to reckon with. But I love it. I think that that's how our division continues to evolve and be the best division in the world, is that we just keep adding people like Jordan Grace to it. And I feel like she's just getting started, and we've been able to interact a little bit in the Royal Rumble in spoon feed, and I can't wait till we can actually get in the ring and really create magic together. I think that's like a dream match of mine that I would love to have.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Our next question comes from Spencer Love. Spencer?
Morning, Bianca. Thanks for the time today. Your gear always rules. I don't think I'm breaking any news there. Where are you, or maybe you and Naomi, pulling some inspo from for Elimination Chamber?
Ooh, we're just trying to create moments. I feel like we got together in this tag team, and it was like thrown together very quickly. So it took us a little minute to get it going. We've been making gear almost every single week because we've been having matches every single week, and we've just been trying to piece it together. We were just talking about how it's crazy how we've been able to make this work in such a short amount of time. We haven't even really had time to, go and practice moves together. We've just been winging it, and we've been doing a great job at it because we've been clicking so well. But I think that we have like the same type of mind creatively. We have a lot of outfits the same already that we didn't even know. We're sending each other pictures of stuff in our closet. I'm like, I have that outfit. And she's like, I have that outfit. So it's been very easy. And our minds creatively will say an idea to each other. And I'm like, I was just thinking that. So we're just trying to do things that are moments and do things that show our personality. As far as for Elimination Chamber, we have a little theme going on. I will say she picked this theme, and I'm trying to come through because I make my own gear, and I'm like, I hope I can make this. I don't know if I can. It's stressing me out right now. I have a piece of it sitting next to me. I will say if I'm able to do it, it'll be a moment. It'll be nice for Chamber.
Our next question comes from Jimmy Corderas. Jimmy.
Hello, Bianca. Thank you for joining us this morning. I have a question for you regarding your tag team partners, because you were tag team champion with Jade Cargill, and due to unfortunate circumstances, now you're tag team champions with Naomi. Can you explain the differences between tagging with Jade and tagging with Naomi? I'm not asking you who's your favorite or who's the better of the two, just the differences with tagging with each.
I would say the differences with tagging with each is just the dynamic. I feel like when the idea of Jade and I becoming a tag team, I saw it as like, okay, this is great. I feel like we can elevate this division. You have two powerhouses. You have two women who, when we step in the ring, like it's like, woo, who's going to take them down? And we were able to. I feel like we were just starting to click right before she was taken out, and we're just like two dominant powerhouses that we're a force to reckon with. Whether you look at us, whether we do things together in the ring, and I really saw it as like we could take this division to a whole nother level. I think we had the physical part down like to a T. I would say with Naomi, how everything was thrown together so quickly. Like I would say I was devastated when it happened, because I'm like, okay, I put my heart and my soul into this tag team division. Now, am I going to have to relinquish these titles? And was this whole year for nothing? And I really wanted to elevate this division, and I poured my soul into it. So when Naomi stepped up and was like, no, I'm not going to let you do that, I thought that was the perfect opportunity for the both of us, for me, so that I could keep these tag team titles. For her, it was for her to, redo what she started. She, was the first Black tag team to hold those titles and be able to come back and for her legacy to redo that and end that on a good note. And I was like, this is perfect. And when I remember I was in NXT, Naomi was pushing very, very hard for us to become a tag team initially, and it just never happened. So I think friendship wise, like we've gotten so much closer. I think tagging with a veteran as well. I've been able to learn so much from her, and I feel like we've been able to click and just have like a lot of fun and have the fans feel that as well. So I feel like we've been able to bring a different, like Jade and I, we were like physically and visually, we were great, and we were able to elevate the division in that way. And Naomi and I, we were able to bring in like this connection with the fans and this interaction with the fans that we were able to bring with them. So I think they're both equally just as great. And I think they've both been equally just as valuable to this tag team division.
Great. Thank you so much, and good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Johnny at the Johnny iPro Show. Johnny?
Hello, Bianca. How's it going? Hope all is well. Now I gotta ask. Now your mind state going into another chamber, and also has Montez given you any advice? Because his last time was just amazing.
Well, if I get any advice from my husband for the chamber, I'll be falling from the top of the chamber. He's a crazy man. So I'm trying not to go to him for advice because I do not want to come from the top of the chamber. But if that's what I have to do in order to get to WrestleMania, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be jumping off the pods. I'll be coming off the top of the chamber and frog splashing people. But he's definitely, hopefully he'll be there and be able to support me the way that I was there and able to support him. But my mindset going into this chamber is just getting to WrestleMania. I've been at every single WrestleMania. I want to continue my undefeated streak. Like I said, I would love to go up against Rhea Ripley and show that I am indeed the best. And I feel like I've been able to accomplish a lot. I've been able to, main event WrestleMania and win an ESPY and be undefeated and be this fighting champion. And so now to go up against Rhea Ripley and prove like, okay, you have that title. You're the best. No, I'm the best. That would be the ultimate accomplishment for me.
Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Hey, Drew. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So you talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we chatted, but the opportunity to get in the ring with John Cena. You mentioned that you had some things you wanted to say to John, but what's this opportunity mean to you, given everything that's happening with John and that won't be happening with John after this year ends?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was hoping I'd get the opportunity to say some things to his face. We discussed that I've never had a one-on-one match with John, even though we spent literally years and years with each other. There's very few people on the roster these days, aside people like myself, Cody, Sheamus, Miz. There's maybe a couple I'm missing, but predominantly nobody has spent real time with him, knows what he's truly like, and perhaps knows some things that he would love out there publicly. Nonetheless, much like CM Punk, I ain't afraid to tell the truth, my truth specifically. And I'm very disappointed I've not had the chance to say it to his face. So with any luck, he's got the chance on SmackDown. If not, I will find a way to say what I'm thinking. And maybe social media, since it's become a saying, I've somewhat weaponized it, because if I can't tell the truth elsewhere, I'll tell the truth there. And there's plenty I've got to say about John Cena, but at least I can get my hands on him in the chamber and physically let him know what I thought about certain things from the past.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Rick Ucchino. Rick?
Hey, Drew. Good to chat with you as always.
Got it.
So Friday had to be a bit of a difficult time for you. Your Instagram story, minor procedure, but you had your knee drained about 45 minutes before your match with Jimmy. I've never had that done, but a quick Google search says you're supposed to elevate your knee for like 24 hours after that. So what was that match like? How are you feeling now? And, any concerns with the knee heading into Elimination Chamber?
I mean, I have no concerns with the knee personally. I couldn't bend it fully, unfortunately. And I told the doctor, listen, let's get this fluid out. He wasn't exactly over the moon about it, but medically it was safe, or we wouldn't have done it in the first place. But it was legitimately 45 minutes before the match. And I told him, this is going to hinder me
in the match. I'm not one to make excuses. I'm not going to say that's why Jimmy got himself the biggest victory of his damn career and had his WrestleMania moment at my expense. But yeah, I'm just, put it simply, I'm not a pussy. A lot of the guys are now. So get that out. I've got a show to put on. I've got a performance to do, and this is affecting me. So we took that fluid out. I got in the ring. I did my job. I left Jimmy not looking like a winner, that's for sure. And I'll be good by Elimination Chamber. If I have to tape myself together to get in the ring with the likes of Punk, Seth, and John Cena, people I really want to be in there with and show the world that Drew McIntyre belongs on top. You don't have to hand me a thing. I'll keep taking and taking and taking and showing why I belong on top. And that's a match I'm not going to miss if I have to hold myself together with duct tape.
All right. Thanks, Drew. I appreciate it always.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Steve Fall. Steve?
Hey, Drew. Thanks for doing this for us. Now, this weekend, there's a lot going on. Obviously, you're going to win the Chamber match, but do you think that Cody Rhodes will sell his soul to The Rock, and would you do the same?
When it comes to Cody, I don't know. He's worked very hard to get where he's at. I don't love some of the actions that he's had towards me recently. I literally put myself out in front of the world and tried to give him some advice. He told me to go screw myself, then jumped on me. But there's part of me that does believe that Cody would do literally anything to be on top and stay on top. So who knows? And all I know for me is I've always been a one-man army. I've had offers to team up with people. I've had people say to me, I'll watch your back. And I had Bloodline jumping on me left and right. And I've always been trying to do things the right way. Always try to do things by myself so I don't have to hold myself accountable to anybody else. And I don't see that changing. And, a lot of the fans turned on me. A lot of people see through the BS to see that, okay, that's our warrior fighting and he's telling the truth and he might just keep drilling at home sometimes. And some people say that as, oh, he's complaining, it's whining. But if you really listen to the words, I'm telling the truth. And one day people are going to go, wow, Drew went through absolute hell for our band. What a guy that is willing to, take the good times when we're all together, everyone was behind me, and the bad times where a few people turned on me. But my true fans really saw through the BS, and I didn't have to sell out to anybody or sell out to the company or to fans that were booing me. Like, I've always done things my way, will do things my way, and I know truth always prevails in the end.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Rick Ucchino. Rick?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have my hand raised. That's my bad. I already asked.
Great. Our next question comes from Jimmy Corderas. Jimmy?
Drew, nice to talk to you again. How are you?
Jimmy, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I got a question for you that you mentioned being on top and your goal is to be on top, and you've come so close because you've been on the cusp to being on top several times, but it always seems like someone or something seems to derail it and prevent it from happening. I'm just curious, would you be interested in acquiring the services of because I kind of know a guy, he may be retired, but as a Hall of Famer once said, everyone has a price.
I appreciate that, brother. It's very, very tempting, but yeah, much like the Rock thing, I just see myself doing things my way. As handy as it be to have a ref out there looking out for me, and it feels like everyone around me, especially when you get to that top level, have somebody in their corner, be it visible or not visible. Said I got to do things my way, the Drew McIntyre way. When it comes to the Rock situation, I've said this a few times because a lot of fans just look at what's happening right now. We're able to tell these deep layered stories, which are life. Life is complex. We're 52 weeks a year. We can go into the details, into the woods, and they're like, well, you have these issues with the bloodline because it made your lives hell, and you hate them all. Yet, why would you like The Rock? I was like, why would I have one issue with The Rock? It doesn't mean I'm going to sell my soul to The Rock or whatever if that offer came, but he's literally looked out for me my entire career since I was a kid himself. As a former wife, used to check in, give me positive feedback as a kid, even when things weren't going particularly well. They always believed in me. And I'm sure you saw the TMZ piece where Rock was asked who he believed was the future. And at the time, I wasn't exactly doing anything on TV to suggest this guy's the next guy. Right before I went on the run leading to winning the Royal Rumble and main event in WrestleMania and beating Brock Lesnar. And he mentioned Drew McIntyre. He's the guy. He's always been in my corner. When I signed the contract, he was a big part of that. Sent the sword as a gift, a very personal note. And we had a chance to interact at the Netflix debut. And, he's been working on a couple of things for me. Has he ever wronged me? No. I have issue with people that wronged me just because he's part of a family with some really bad eggs throughout that family. There's no issues there. But again, doesn't mean I would, take an offer like that. I have to do things my way. I have to do things the Drew way. And as you mentioned, everyone's got a price. I don't have a price. I'm very fortunate. Wrestling has been the way it's been the last few years. I've been in it for so long. I learned a lot during my first run by spending most of that money and not investing wisely. And all I've done is invest to ensure I have that power. I'm not going to be held to a piece of paper and how I decide how my future goes. I don't have a prize. Thankfully, I'm in a position where I call my own shots now, and everything I do right now is because I want to do it, and I have to do it my way.
That's great. Thank you, Drew. I'm looking forward to Saturday and to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you, brother.
Our next question comes from Rob Wong. Rob.
Hey, Drew, thanks for doing this. Nice to chat with you again. Just quick question about this specific match. There's that old saying, horses for courses. Do you feel as though this is one of those that sort of brings out the best in your abilities?
Yeah, something that should bring out the best in everyone's ability in the match. If you look across the whole board, as a who's who of top superstars current, and I guess with Cena in his last run. And I'd like to imagine with all that's going on in Toronto, we've got a chance to interact with each other. And so many of us have such interesting pasts. And we get those microphones in our hands. So I know there's a kickoff show. I don't know who's involved in it. I've been involved in the past few. I'd like to think I'll be there, which leads into SmackDown, which obviously leads into the Chamber. So aside the in-ring aspect, where everyone's going to be bringing their A+ game to ensure they stand out among such top names and top in-ring performers, I hope that mic, and that's something I heard. Drew, he looks the part. My God, walk down the street, everyone's head turns. In the ring, incredible athlete. But then the microphone skills are not quite up to par, and it drove me insane because I knew what I was capable of, especially from independent run. Not a lot of people had seen that, and I'd always been myself as close as I could be within the confines of the character. And then finally, just the way things have been the past couple of years, and the reins taken off just a little bit, and let the horse run free under Triple H, leading creative. I've been able to show what I could truly do. And last year, I was very fortunate. I say fortunate. I am grateful, but also I know I was the freaking best last year. That's why I won all the promo awards, the talking awards. Doesn't matter if I was in the ring with a Punk or a Seth, and I want that damn John Cena one. I want him right in front of me, and I want to tear him to shreds, and for people to go, my God, like Drew's on that level. It's finally time to give him the ball. Let's stop dropping it, put it in his hands, because not anyone he can't stand the ring with physically, and everybody go, my God, that guy should be kicking everyone's ass. Or on the microphone, my God, he shreds everybody. Why the hell is he not on top?
Great, thank you.
Our next question comes from Johnny at the Johnny I Pro Show.
Hello, Drew. Hope all is well. Now I got to ask, now heading into another chamber, you already won 2. What is your mindset going into this with especially CM Punk in the mix, John Cena, Seth Rollins? Like, what is your mindset going into this?
Win. That's what I know how to do in that chamber, is win. I won it last year, which set me up to go to WrestleMania. I took out Punk at the Rumble. I went to Chamber. I beat a who's who of superstars, earned the title shot against Seth Rollins, beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I owe Punk one. He was claiming credit for beating me inside Hell in the Cell. Much as I don't like it, I know how things turned out in the end. Plus, with the greatest rivalry of the past decade, it's amazing when you have true hatred for each other, how much it benefits the fans, how far you're willing to go in those matches. And I was willing to go a little too far, and it wasn't him that beat me in the end after that decade and career-defining feud for both of us. It was blood loss that defeated me. So we're back inside the chamber. I owe him one, but I'm not focused on him. My mindset before was get him for personal reasons, but also get him because I'm worried what he's going to do to the company the way he was in the past when I was around him growing up. the way that I heard from friends, he still is this these days. As much as he likes to hide it, he's good at hiding it these days. Eventually, he'll crack, show his true colors, affect the company, and I won't care because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have a new mindset since I returned from my injury after Hell in the Cell. I'm in this for myself. I'm in this for my family. It was for the fans before, but the reality is when I'm gone, like I saw when I was gone after Hell in the Cell, they move on. We're 52 weeks a year. It doesn't matter if you're The Rock or Stone Cold, Triple H when he's on screen. If you're not directly in front of them, they move on so quick, and I will not have any freaking regrets. So I'm getting into this match to take out Punk, yes, but bigger picture, I'm winning that match. I'm getting my title match against Cody. I'm getting my moment at WrestleMania. And I'm having that title and holding it and walking out in front of fans for the first time with the title for a prolonged period. The last time I got it, obviously Punk screwed me over. Then Priest capitalized like a freaking snake. So I'm getting that run, and it's not because I imagined it that way as a kid. I did. It's for me. It's for my family, and I don't care if anyone else likes it. If they do, cool. They're with me through my struggle, but they're going to deal with it and they're going to like it because Drew McIntyre is simply the best right now.
Best of luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Sean Rossett. Sean?
Hey, Drew. You've been known for getting pretty outspoken on social media, and we've actually seen LA Knight sort of give it back to you a little bit on screen. How do you approach situations like that? Doesn't seem like you really get hurt by words, but have you been approached by anybody backstage that maybe have been hurt by some of your words?
No. They go to management and cry. And then I laugh and say, what are they going to do about it? Tell them to beat me up, but they can't. You got to have some thick skin in this game. Like, it drives me crazy, people with thin skin. That's the one thing I'll give Punk credit. He's got some thick skin when it comes to the words, and then he, gives it what he can in the ring. He's very lucky he defeated me through blood loss in the match. But come on, this is what it's all about. We're in a new world today. It's not just can you get it done in the ring, can you get it done in the microphone where perhaps it's a little more controlled. I can be a little more free these days, but you can't stop me in social media. Nobody can go toe-to-toe with me online, on the mic, or in the ring. I'm a complete package. And to cap it all off, I'm not your average. People like to say I'm a troll. Priest makes his little comments on TV. I've heard Seth make some comments on TV about the troll or whatever. I'm not a troll. I'm not your average troll. I'll rip you apart on social media, and then you think of somebody who's like sniveling behind the keyboard in their mother's basement. That ain't Drew McIntyre. I'll tear you to pieces online. And I step behind the keyboard. You're like, oh my God, he's going to kick my ass too. And I do kick your ass. You're lucky I'm married, or I'd take your girl too. That's the kind of troll I am. No one can freaking stop me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Spencer Love. Spencer?
Hey, Drew, thanks for the time this morning. You mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of people in there that you've got personal issues with, whether it be Damian Priest, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. How do you separate those personal issues from the professional issue of going in, winning the chamber, and eventually facing Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania?
You have to. I mean, if you get a few extra digs in there, a few stiff shots, then good. But you have to focus on the bigger picture. You have to focus on the story that's being told. And as we found with the Punk situation, the deeper the hatred, the better the performance and the happier the fans. And perhaps, I'm not somebody that gets therapy. I have no issues with people that do, if that's what helps them. It helps you work out some of your issues to make you a better person, a happier person. My therapy is on TV, on social media. You can literally see me working out things in my life on television. And sometimes it's through words. Sometimes it's through conversations like this. And sometimes it's through just kicking somebody's ass. And that's my version of therapy. And I've got my eye on the prize. Whatever personal issues are there, cool. I'll take it out in the ring, and I'll focus on getting to WrestleMania, get in my moment, and keeping that freaking title.
Thanks, Drew. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Nav at CBC.
Hey, Drew. You mentioned the Hell in a Cell match with Punk. Probably one of the most brutal Hell in a Cell matches in recent memory. How does an Elimination Chamber match compare to a Hell in a Cell?
I've lost all my Hell in a Cell matches, and I've won 2 Elimination Chambers for starts. I did not have good luck inside Hell in a Cell, unfortunately. I dropped the title to Randy Orton there. I think Lashley got me, and obviously with Punk. almost bled out on worldwide TV and broke my back at the end. Elimination Chamber, I guess just with so many people in the ring at once, you just be on your toes. And there are very creative ways to cause violence there and inflict pain. But you got to have a game plan. You got to be willing to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward. Like inside the cell, I've treated it like a sprint every time. And I think now with my new mindset, since I was out injured after Hell in the Cell, I wouldn't treat it this way, but I was very much like a sprint right into it without thinking, just go, hopefully take out the competition. And it's not worked for me inside the cell. But I've always had the mindset inside Chamber of hang back, let people inflict the damage in front of you, try not to get attacked from behind. There's so much action going on at once, and I've implemented that game plan, and there's more aspects to it, but obviously people are going to be watching this and reading this and going, oh God, Drew's burying me right now. If I'm saying things about you, I'm not burying you, I'm telling you the truth. If you're on the roster and you're reading this and you get your feelings hurt and I didn't mention a name and it triggers you, it means I'm actually talking about you. So I'm not going to give my whole game plan away, but I'm going to go in there with the same game plan as usual, which is win.
And our next question comes from Avi at To Do Toronto.
Hey, Drew, how are you?
Wonderful. I'm on fire this morning. I can feel myself all amped up. I must be excited for the weekend. Kick some arse, verbally and physically.
Awesome. Just quick question. WWE hasn't been in Toronto since WrestleMania 8 in 2002. What are the emotions going into this fight at Rogers Center in front of tens of thousands of WWE fans?
Pretty curious how Toronto's going to react. A lot of places in America where I'm going, I mean, some places I've been met with like cheers and stuff. Atlanta, a lot of the crowd were reacting positively. I don't care one way or the other if you're positive or negative in the reaction. It's just telling who's listening to what I'm saying and who understands what I'm putting myself through for everyone's entertainment, as well as my own goals going forward. And Toronto is somewhere that's been referred to as Bizarro Land, but ever commentators go, oh, it's Bizarro Land. They're not doing the thing we're supposed to be doing right now, or we're telling you you're supposed to be doing. It's places like Toronto, New York, back home, like in the UK and Europe, they react the way, they feel personally about the characters and the stories because they actually listen, they take the time to understand the human emotion beside everything. And I'll be fine if they boo me out of the building. But I do see somewhere like Toronto and Canada in general as somewhere that are such big wrestling fans. They look beyond what's going on right now. Like someone like a Jay is, well, man, he does like a cool entrance and he does like the hand thing now. I mean, that doesn't matter all the things he did in the past. Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter when his family ruined my life or whatever. They look past that stuff and go, why does he feel the way he feels? Would I feel the same way if that stuff happened to me? These past few years of everything Drew has been through after a 25-year career, moving to America at 21, sacrificing everything for our sake at the expense of his own family. That's the kind of stuff Canadian fans look deeper than just what's on the surface. Like American fans, it's what have you done for me lately? So I'm curious how Canada's going to respond to Drew McIntyre. I don't care either way, but I get excited to go to so-called Bizarro Land, which is just logical land to me.
Awesome. Thank you, and good luck at your match.
Thank you.